pleasure to be here today. I just want to thank Sarah. Sarah, where are you? I want to thank Sarah and Kojima for having me come to speak to you. When she asked me, I was like, really? Yes, because I think my enthusiasm for jewelry, fine jewelry, especially antique and vintage jewelry, has caught on in these circles a little bit. So really happy to be here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about stewarding antique pearl jewelry. So it is a fact that antique jewelry is jewelry that is 100 or more years old, which means that, right, jewelry that was created in 1925, in the middle of the Roaring '20s, during the Art Deco period, is now having its 100th birthday. So, yay, happy birthday. I'd like to know by a show of hands, how many of you in here own a piece of antique jewelry? All right, it's talking to our crowd. Now, how many of you own a piece of, the silverwood? How many own a piece of antique pearl jewelry? Okay. Now, I'm pretty sure that that number goes down once we leave this circle and leave this room. All right. So when I was thinking about what to speak to you about today, I thought about all of those famous pearls. We have the Mancini earrings up here, the pearl carpet of Baroda, and the Baroda 7-strand pearl necklace. Of course, there's the Peregrina, but you're an educated crowd, you're a pearl-loving jewelry crowd, so I figured that you've already heard those tales, even though, I love story time, so I could sit and hear them again. So I thought about, okay, what can I tell them? I can tell them a little bit about why I'm so nuts about fine jewelry, especially storied antique jewelry, and why I really have a sort of penchant for the underdog. And I feel like the pearl is re-experiencing its moment again, yes, but I still feel like it's an underdog when it comes to fine gemstones. And I love the underdog. So, bangles. You may hear those on occasion. Okay, so I just want to start out by giving a little context, so we're on the same page about what qualifies as antique jewelry, and that pearls, natural pearls, they exist mostly in antique jewelry today. You don't find as many outside. They're so rare because they're really hard to obtain. They're divers who have to go down 40 feet and they're breathing things like sharks and currents and all the things. So very precious biogenic gemstone, hard to obtain. Now the two pieces that we're looking at right here, both from the Victorian era, which began in 1837, starting with the reign of Queen Victoria and ended in 1901 upon her death. So we have a beautiful fleur-de-lis created around, we say circa, that's 10 years on either side, circa 1895. And it is a stamped piece, which means it has a maker's mark on the reverse of the jeweler, which is Solinger and Company, based in Rhode Island. Now, and so I learned that it's a Solinger and Company piece because Lang Antiques, Suzanne, co-owner of Lang Antiques, so happy to have you here today. Suzanne spearheaded starting a thing called AJU, or Lang Antiques Antique Jewelry University. And I advise all of you to visit Lang, of course, and the website where you can learn about many different maker's marks. There's a whole catalog of them. So I looked at the back, saw the Maltese cross, found out that it is a Solinger. Anyways, the other piece was a gorgeous, again, turn of the century bracelet with guilloche enamel and natural pearls that I saw at the Las Vegas Antique Jewelry and Watch Show last year. So, okay, so now we have to get into why we're a little bit worried about antique pearl jewelry right now. We are in a moment where a lot of jewelry is being melted down for its gold, and that means the pearl jewelry too, the natural pearl jewelry. I mean, it's double rare. And I'm not knocking anyone's need to melt jewelry, but I think that a lot of pieces get destroyed because people don't understand the stories behind them. They don't understand how precious and rare a thing that they have. And maybe if they did, they would become stewards or custodians and basically melt pieces for fine antique pearl jewelry. Particularly in our fast-paced culture, the trends are constantly changing over, and news just comes at us so fast. And I love this community because we all take a second to read each other's posts, to come to these events, and really become absorbed in these fine, fine pieces of jewelry and gemstones that have been around for at least 100 years, some of them quite a bit more. So the question that I pose is how we can be keepers of the old instead of melters of the old. What I did have here was a video of a antique lavalier heart-shaped pendant, or a brooch rather, that was on fire. I'll have you guys see it later. I'm not really sure why. Oh, but one thing that I can do, if Alice or Zameen could pop up for a second, I brought this particular brooch with me. So this presentation today is a little bit of a pearl and tell, which we'll get into, but I want to tell you about my raison d'etre, how I really got here today. Okay? Zameen has become a really wonderful friend of mine. She's an amazing gemologist and jade specialist. And she just opened up an amazing gem lab called Bay Area Gem Lab. So anyways, shout out to Zameen. Shout out my friend. All right. Thanks, Zameen. Sometimes you don't want to see it on fire. You're just going to go ahead and pass it around. So my question for everyone today is, what can we do as pearl lovers, as jewelry lovers, to become better custodians and better stewards for this very rare, special jewelry? I came up with a hashtag. Melissa knows I have an obsession with coming up with creative, sometimes silly hashtag. OPP, are you down with OPP? Old Pearl Preservation. Anyhow, it's mostly me over here just entertaining myself so most of the time. Okay. So, GemCorps, reporting for duty. The name, how many of you in here thought it was corpse? It's okay if that's, yep, that's fine. I get that a lot. I'd rather people say it and rather than not. So corps, a French word, it is a body of people who are engaging in a similar activity, like the Marine Corps or the Peace Corps. So the Corps is us. The GemCorps is me, yes. So a lot of times you'll hear me say we, it's me. The GemCorps, it's me. But it's also us because we all celebrate and love pearls and fine jewelry, other gemstones. And gem, obviously, gems are super, super special. I have had a love affair with rocks and crystals and gemstones ever since I was a little kid. And I'll tell you about the people who helped influence that and nurture it, because I think all of us kind of come out a certain way, right? It's that nature nurture thing. And definitely there's some folks in my past and present who have really helped me to be me. So the GemCorps has been around for 10 years as an Instagram site. I don't know if any of you have been over to @gemcorps.com, not @gemcorps.com. GemCorps.com is the website which just launched last fall, but @GemCorps is sort of my home on Instagram where I get to revel and talk about jewelry. I particularly love talking about jade. It's one of my hyperfixations and deep dives lately, as well as blackamoor jewelry. That's jewelry depicting people of the African diaspora. And another topic that has come up, I do some jewelry design as well, and that is Sweet Chariot, which has become kind of a symbol for resistance, remembrance, as well as rest. There's maybe a couple people in here who have the chariot charm. And it's also partially inspired by antique jewelry. I should probably pass around one of those as well.
Can I get?
Oh, sure. Okay, so I started the GemCorps because I had a 10-year career in fine jewelry as a publicist in New York City as well as LA. And I represented the likes of Stephen Webster, Catherine McKeel's, Mont Blanc, Quorum Swiss timepieces. And it was a wonderful way to get blooded, I suppose. A little rough sometimes. It's not like how it is now, where people tend to be a little more considerate. But I learned so much, and I would never do anything different about those experiences working in fine jewelry PR. All right, so my personal story, or beginnings. These are really important. First off, I will start with my grandma, Mabel Celia Gwynn, amazing, strong woman. She gave me my first pair of pearl stud earrings, which my sister and my mom somehow lost, and also some other important jewelry throughout my life. And she really instilled in me the importance of owning your own queendom and really just adorning yourself. It's good for us. It's part of our birthright. Part of what I loved about her was that she could have on a house dress and she would still have her layers of lockets and chains and her bangles and rings. So when people say, oh, you know, I don't know what I wore for jewelry today, I didn't really go outside. That's what I do. I get up, I put on my house shoes, and I start putting it on. You know, I don't have to go anywhere. So that was Grandma. She was also one of the most well-read people that I knew as well, and I always wanted to have a library that was like hers, so I owned a lot of jewelry books. Then there was my dad, Sharif Salim. So I grew up in a family of educators. My parents actually met at DC Teachers College, and my father, also a curious mind, just exposed us to so many things. He took me to my first stable, so I've been an avid equestrian ever since I was little. And he was really good at telling stories, true stories, about all types of history, from the Civil War to natural geologic history. And because we grew up in Washington, D.C., we had access to all these amazing museums, which were free. The Smithsonian Museum of Natural History being one of my favorites because of their gemstone collection. So true story, we were on a field trip. I set off a silent alarm. I only knew because, armed guards came up, and I'm like 6. I'm like, what happened? My nose just got a little bit too close to the dynamite. It happens. I wish it would happen more. I wish you could see this photo too. It's a photo of me and Dad in the Oprah magazine. So when I was a publicist in New York, sometimes I had opportunities to do things. So Dad came up from DC and we did our photo shoot. And we are dressed kind of similarly. Oh, I'll send you guys pictures later. Okay. Those early influences, right? Okay, so between a rock collection and a jewelry career, which I've spoken a little bit about already. So being that my dad was an educator, he also had access, very important word, to the science department. And so he brought home an on-loan rock kit that had obsidian and pumice stone and jasper, and I just studied that thing and eventually had to return it. This right here is just a small collection of some pearls and gemstones that I just kind of put in my hand the other day and made a little video. The other photo was of me and Stephen Webster, my client when I was in LA. and we were at the Chateau Marmont for one of his launches. He's such a nice guy. Have you guys met Stephen? He's like a rock star. So cool. Okay. So, fast forward many years. Okay, I went to school, I did the thing, was going to be a veterinarian, GemCorps, back at jewelry again. I launched the Instagram in 2015, have a few followers going now, and I lead with education and storytelling. Here I have just for the screenshot of the feed, a image of Sweet Chariot, and an antique blackamoor pin, and to the far left, or to the far right rather, is when I spoke for WJA's event a few years ago. That was Melissa who invited me to join that panel, and that was an amazing experience. All right. Okay, so now that all the raison d'etre has been covered, I'd like to get into the pearl and tell. Now, this piece is in a private collection. I don't know if anyone knows Roma Young. She's a collector and a local dealer. Lovely lady, has been collecting jewelry for, I think, about 60 years. She's in her early 80s. She couldn't be here today, but she says hi. And she said that I couldn't take this with me because it is... I was like, that's the one. But no, I know, because as soon as I picked it up, what fell off? The natural pearl. Okay. So that's all right. We're going to talk a little bit about this gorgeous piece, which is from the Georgian era, which precedes the Victorian era. So the Georgian era began in 1714 and ended in 1837, and it's marked by Romanticism, colonialism. I mean, we're still in colonialism, really. Opulence, and handmade. Even though machine-made was, or sort of the mass production of jewelry was starting to happen during this period. Okay. All right, little close-ups here. So this piece is absolutely exquisite. It consists of at least 300 seed pearls, which during the Georgian era, hugely popular. And it's very interesting how these were made. So the seed pearls measure between 0.5 millimeters and 3 millimeters. And they're most likely from an oyster called the Pintata radiata, which lives in the Gulf of Mannar, or Old Ceylon, now Sri Lanka. So what was happening during this era is that the Dutch were ruling the Gulf of Mannar, and then the English came in, and they said, yeah, every 7 years harvesting, no, we're gonna have to do that more because this is way too lucrative. So it was overfishing, it was kind of nasty, and what they would do is they would hire a bunch of Southeast Asian migrant workers, and so these towns would pop up, 50,000 people deep, men, women, and children, fishing and harvesting, and it was stinky because they would bring these oysters up on the shore, and instead of opening them, they would just open themselves because they were rotting. So it was kind of nasty work. But look at that pretty bow. Then the pearls would be processed in India, which was a main source or a main hub for processing pearls, drilling, setting, putting them into these gorgeous pieces of jewelry, which is why you see in the parure on the left some very Indian influences, some arabesque, a lotus flower. This was most likely a wedding set, and of course, pretty safe to say that Indians were not wearing this jewelry. It was sent to Europe. The piece that I have in my left, you always have to turn these things over. I don't remember turning this parure over. I was at Roma's house and I didn't want to mess up anything in front of her. But I did have a chance to flip the pendant brooch here, and it's sewn most likely by children, their tiny little nimble hands, Each pearl is sewn together in these intricate designs and then sewn with horsehair, white horsehair, to a mother of pearl backing. Amazing. Let's see if I have a photo. Oh no. It's on my phone. I'll show you later. All right. So the next piece that I'm going to show you, I also have here with me. So we don't need the PowerPoint. Okay. Oh, thanks so much. Okay. And of course, probably needless to say, just be very careful with everything I'm passing around. The brooch with the amethyst heart and the natural pearls, Art Nouveau, is actually spoken for, but I was allowed to bring it with me today. So, Alice is going to pass around this gorgeous pair of Chambali earrings. Now, Chambali is a blend of both Islamic art and aesthetics, as well as Hindi aesthetics. So Chand means moon. In this case, it's a crescent shape, which is one of the symbols of Islam. And Bali means earrings, okay? So this particular pair of earrings, I am not 100% sure that they are antique, but they do represent earrings that were made during the Mughal revival in the 19th century, really popular amongst Europeans, especially the English. They're involved with India. These earrings were likely made, I believe, in the 1950s, so I'm still doing a little bit more research. I never want to say that something is antique, but it's not. The pearls, bless you, the pearls are likely Persian Gulf Basra pearls, which are known for their luster and with some irregular, interesting shapes. And the earrings are set with emerald as well as polki diamonds. And polki diamonds are those really rough-cut diamonds that are often kind of smooth. They're not even faceted, some of them, but really, really gorgeous. I'm gonna try my little trick again. Okay. And so it is known, I've heard, that the Arab peoples are some of the best dyers. And the pearls were largely traded back in the day in the Iraqi city of Basra, which is how they got that name. Well, at least some of it works, Lord. Okay, here we go. They're so lovely, and they're really heavy too. 21 karat gold is kind of like the goldsmith just kind of threw whatever high carat he got in there, and then that's what they came out of, which happens sometimes. Okay. So, love Matt's presentation. I had some art here too, believe it or not. And it was of a BB, or basically like an Indian girlfriend of an Anglo person, and she's wearing gorgeous Chambali earrings. Apologies for. Should I try? Someone's gonna try again? Okay. I know you guys want to see her. She's pretty. Let me escape out of here. Let's try again. Let's see what's happening. Oh, okay. Maybe let's try it. I'm back online. All right. Oh, sorry. That's what you said now. Where is? I know it. Okay. That's all right. Oh, that works. It's going to be every other slide from here on out. Just know that that's what we're working with, and that's okay. Okay, so these are some gorgeous Kundan style earrings with meenakari, which is that beautiful enamel work. And this is another one of my tips for being a great steward of antique jewelry, antique pearl jewelry, and that's to pick up a book. get a vintage book. This one here by Guido Gregorietti, Jewelry Through the Ages, is amazing. That's all I have to say. I've learned so much from this book. Because it was written, I believe, in the 60s or 70s, there's some problematic things in there, but you know what it is. You just make sure that you're reading from just different sources, but it's a good one. Steward through acquiring knowledge. All right, great. So, circling back to the Victorian era, one of my favorite eras of jewelry, because there was so much of it. It was a real explosion of jewelry becoming more accessible. And a lot of the goldsmiths, well, there were just many more goldsmiths making jewelry because there was such a high demand. It wasn't just your goldsmith who was making jewelry for the court and your kings and queens. So you have many different motifs, lots of influences from the Victorians' fascination with their natural world, individualism, and like I said, an explosion of jewelry styles for all sorts of different outfits. And what I have to show you today is a gorgeous piece from circa 1870. It's an 18-karat Ouroboros style snake ring. And Ouroboros means that it's a snake or a serpent shape that's eating its tail. And it symbolizes basically the life cycle. Okay, it's a really old archetypical symbol. Okay, let's do a little reveal. Yay, there it is. Isn't it worth? 18 karat yellow gold. You can see the head there's kind of styled like scales with beautiful natural pearls, that cobalt blue guilloche enamel. And guilloche is when it's a translucent enamel that the engraving or the chasing can show through underneath. It's absolutely stunning. Accented with white enamel and some pretty little cabochon ruby eyes. Okay, I have that to pass around as well. Do you guys want to see it?
Yeah.
So it is the year of the snake. I don't know if anyone celebrates Lunar New Year, but happy year of the snake. Oh, yes, sir?
I have a snake.
You're a snake?
Yes.
Anybody else in here a snake?
Oh, yeah.
Oh,
Yay.
wonderful. It's you here. So snakes represent rebirth, wisdom, the shedding of the skin, renewal, and also healing. But during the Victorian era, they also represented love, because Queen Victoria and Prince Albert, who were like the Kardashians of the jewelry world back then. I mean, I don't really like to mention the Kardashians, but I will, just to prove a point. They really influenced jewelry trends, and I believe it was Queen Victoria I believe it was Prince Albert who gave her a snake ring, and from there, people just lost their minds with that figural motif of the serpent as a snake. Okay. A little bit about the pearls, not 100% sure, natural, but because they are small, around 3 millimeters, they could also be from Ceylon, from the Gulf of Manaar. Okay, just giving you another view there. And I love the head and the tail are engraved. It's just wonderful. There's a little bit of enamel that is chipped off, but when you're thinking about a 140, 150-year-old piece of jewelry, I mean, the fact that it's even here is a miracle. Now, one of the things that I do on the GemCorps is not just show jewelry. I want to show you how I put it on too. So here I have a little wrist stack of 2 Victorian bracelets and 1 Victorian look-alike. Can anyone identify the look-alike? Or the revival? Any guesses?
The opal, the middle one?
Alice,
Sorry.
how did you know that?
Well, I figured, I don't know, I have no idea, I don't know.
Yeah.
I figured that it might be something that someone was, replicating and bringing forth, for these more modern times. I don't know.
You're right. That opal and diamond bracelet actually fooled a very experienced jeweler. They just, oh, that's Victorian, right? Victorian revival, yes, but not from that era. It was actually the larger bracelet that fooled me. I had no idea. That's how prolific that era was with jewelry. I had no idea they were making things that cool, Oh,
The silver bracelet that you just mentioned is more of a Costco style.
Oh, so it's not silver. The snake bracelet.
No, not the snake, from the opal, which I would love to see the opal.
Oh, you know what? It's not silver, but yes, it's 18 karat gold and it's French.
Ah.
Yeah. But you're saying that's a Tosco.
It's a style.
Yes. Okay. Oh, I would love to see that. Interesting. Maybe that's where they got it from because I don't know how old Tosco is.
Mid-40s.
Okay. Yeah. So maybe they borrowed a little bit from the Victorian era. Everybody does. No one's doing anything new out here. Okay. All inspired.
Nothing under the sun.
No, I kind of like that. It's comforting. Okay. So, we're getting to near the end.
You will fit me.
Okay, so this is just a page where I have that gorgeous Art Nouveau, natural pearl, and amethyst lavalier. I call it a pendant brooch because a lot of times I don't want to mess with antique jewelry. I don't want the patina to actually be burned off if they don't use laser welding. So I will make do and, instead of adding a veil, I would somehow just work a chain into it so I can wear it. Just below, we have a pearl adjacent piece that I'd also like to share with you. It's called an Essex crystal reverse intaglio. Sometimes I get all of those words mixed up. But basically, it is a rock crystal. They're often sourced from Madagascar, and they would be, not faceted, but cut in cabochon. And the reverse side would be carved out to reveal a beautiful little image. In this case, it looks like a steeplechaser. And when you get really close to it, you can see like the billowing silk shirt. It just looks like it's in motion, the little shadow. It's amazing. And they were hand painted and then often set on top of reflective materials like mother of pearl. This one is circa 1870s, and it has a beautiful sort of Etruscan style frame in 18 karat gold. Now that one I did ask my jeweler to add a veil to, but I threatened him. I said the patina better not go anywhere. We're gonna have problems. Anyhow, he did a beautiful job. This here is a Qing Dynasty hairpiece. So, when you travel the world, people were wearing jewelry in different ways, depending on what type of clothing they were wearing. And so in China, the style was to play up the hair. So you have these beautiful headdresses, as you can see, gorgeous natural pearls. And then another piece from the Victorian era, circa 1880s, in the shape of an oyster, a mussel. I go back and forth, also with natural pearls. Oh, and let me pass around the Essex. Oh, here, this one too. This is awesome. You guys can all see this later. I don't know if I'm doing this now. Anywho,
most craziest questions you've been asked pertaining to jewelry?
Yeah, you know what, interesting. Well, since this is only my second jewelry-related speaking engagement, I would say a lot of the questions I get are through Instagram DMs. I get a lot of DMs. And a lot of people ask me if it's okay to wear blackamoor jewelry. That's jewelry depicting people of African descent. And my answer is always that I want people to wear what makes them feel good, what sparks joy. But because of the subject matter, I ask that people especially be good stewards and custodians by learning about the history. And not fetishizing anything about blackamoor jewelry. I get that question a lot. I often, well, probably not often enough, will post my answer just because I know that not everybody sees it when I post it. So yeah, that's probably, I don't know if it's crazy, but it's the most popular question that I get.
And one more.
Yeah.
Do you have, since you've been in the jewelry business, have you seen a surge of men wearing pearls?
Oh my gosh, I love it when the men wear pearls. Okay, did anybody see the Met Gala, red carpet? You could walk, oh my gosh. Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. You know, back in the day, it was the men that were wearing most of the jewelry.
Yeah.
I support.
Hey.
Oh, yes, Matt. Oh, sorry, did
Something, did I skip on something?
I don't think so. Yes, Matt?
By the way, on my YouTube, I have a full recap of all the people wearing pearls to the Met Con.
Oh, sorry.
My question for you, because this happens to me a lot, is when you get these old antique pieces in that are missing some of these little 1 millimeter, 1.5 millimeter pearls, how are you going about replacing them?
So
Where do you get them from?
I work with several wonderful jewelers who sometimes have the job of breaking down these old pieces. So they have like stockades.
Oh, I need some.
Okay.
We'll talk later.
Let's talk. I'm sure. Anybody else? Okay, thank you so much, Sandra.